Hello everybody, this is Archana here. We are continuing with our series on books on writing. So, now we are going to see the books which help one to plot their novels. Books on plotting. Basically, whenever someone writes a book, they hear these words called plotting, pantsing, and in fact it's actually sometimes it's quite I guess very confusing to understand even what you are, because some plotters are also pantsers, some pantsers are also plotters. So without further ado, I'll just tell you what is plotting and what is pantsing. So plotting is someone who has the entire outline of their novel ready, who scene by scene, and then they start writing their book and filling up those scenes. Finally, at the end, they have a beautiful book. A pantser is one who has no idea where his story is going. He just sits and starts writing, and as he is writing, he discovers his story for himself. Frankly, there is no one way to go about it. Recently, I read a book by one of my favorite authors, and after reading her book, I came to understand that she is a plotter and she has her entire story readily fleshed out in totality before she starts working. This was quite a surprise for me, because the book was, I had this inherent idea, this thought that no, it's only pantsing that can work, and how can you actually plot and then write? Wouldn't that affect the quality of your writing? But no, now with proof, I can surely understand that pantsing and plotting are on par with each other, and it's just a matter of preference. Whatever you prefer is what you are. However, whether you're a pantser or whether you're a plotter, you need to plot your book. A pantser plots the book after writing 50,000 words. A plotter plots the book before writing those 50,000 to 60,000 words, whatever is the length of your book. Sorry. So, coming back to our thing. Now, these books on writing are so important, and I think they make the whole process of plotting much more easier for us. So let me talk about some of my favorite books on writing. When I wrote Birds of Prey, I had written around 80,000 words at one stretch, and without any idea on what's the story, where's the story going, how is it going to develop. I had no idea. I had just kept writing on and on and on, and it was the NaNoWriMo season, and with all that zest and writing sprints and everything, my book got written. But then after that, what I had in my hands was this huge mess, a massive mess of words which was literally unreadable. This was when I realized that I have to have a kind of a step-by-step movement of scenes in my book, which makes it easy for the reader to understand, appreciate, and enjoy. The first purpose of writing a novel is entertainment. You want to entertain someone, and you cannot entertain someone when it's going to be a massive jumble of words with no proper progression of scenes. So, which is where the books on plotting really help. Let me show you my favorite books on writing. I have this open on my Kindle app in my iPad. Write your novel from the middle. So after I had written the second draft of Birds of Prey, I came across this book. Frankly, this cover is so boring, and I don't know, it looks really bad. But I was going through a season of reading anything and everything by James Scott Bell. And that is when I came across this book, Write Your Novel from the Middle. And despite this boring cover, the book is written so well. It's interesting, informative, and it would actually blow your mind up. The main reason for this is that whether it is a movie or whether it's a book, in many brilliant ones too, the first half of the book would be very interesting and crisp and crisp and gripping and everything, And towards the end, in the climax, once again, it has these wonderful elements. But somewhere in the middle, you can see the book lags and it sags and it gets so boring. Which is why James Scott Bell says, you need to write your novel from the middle. This was kind of a revelation for me, and the third draft of Birds of Prey I had written using what he said in this book. So in fact, if you are a person who has read Birds of Prey, then you will understand what I'm saying. But if you haven't, then I'm sorry, I'm going to give you a small spoiler in the between now. So in Birds of Prey, you have this scene where Anton bangs Rajesh's car into a lorry, and then he has a moment of thought on what is he actually doing. He's come here to solve a case. Should he not? What is he doing? What? There are a lot of confusing thoughts which go through Anton. I wrote the third draft from that scene. That was my midpoint. So for me, this book is something really important. Let me show you another book. Story Engineering by Larry Brooks. Again, this is a fabulous book, something that I recently read. The thing is, this book it shows you about Act 1, Act 2 and Act 3 and the various scenes and plot points and plot twists that are needed in each of these acts so that it moves through smoothly. Even if you're a pantser, after writing your book, you can go back and see whether you have these points. And if you are, for most good writers, these acts and these scenes are actually something which are, which is just inborn in us. And it may already be present in your story. Reading a book on plotting will actually give you a little more clarity on how you can bring that scene out, how you can fine tune it. Maybe instead of the beginning, you've gone somewhere, you've put it in the third or fourth part of it. You should actually, it can help you to make it more crisper, bring it out, highlight it. So yes, this is another book that I would recommend. Now, apart from this is another beautiful book on plotting, Save the Cat. So why Blake calls this book as Save the Cat is because he says that you need to have one scene right at the beginning of your movie which shows the hero saving the cat. So once you show that particular scene, then immediately the audience connect with the hero. They have a soft spot for the hero, which is something very important when you need to establish a kind of rapport between the audience and the hero. So this is this kind of a scene is called as a beat in this book. And Blake Snyder gives examples of some, I think there are 15 or 16 beats which are needed. I don't remember now. Right, I think there are 15 beats. Yeah, there are 15 beats which are needed for every successful movie, he says. Though we are talking about a novel, believe me, it's very similar. So these are the beats which you also need in your novel. A movie and a book, a novel, are similar in many ways. And you would realize that when you read this book. Save the Cat by Blake Snyder is one more book on plotting that I would strongly recommend. So apart from these 3 books, I haven't really read any other book on plotting. So in case you have some recommendation on books on plotting, please leave them in the comments below. I'd love to know your thoughts about it. And also, have you read any of these 3 books? What are your positive or negative views on them? I'd love to know that too.